Hi, I'm Sheri-Lynn DeMaris, and I'm with a really interesting guest today, a topic that I've always been interested in learning more about, osteoporosis and how to prevent it. And once you are diagnosed with it, how to work with it and improve the quality of your bones. So Joanne Fagerstrom, and it's mindful physical therapy, and welcome to our show.
Thank you.
And tell me a little bit about how you got started. It was very interesting when we were talking.
So I've been a physical therapist for a very long time. 1978 is when I started, so you guys do the math. But about 10 years ago, I was diagnosed with osteoporosis myself, and I was really upset about that because I exercise. I love to exercise. I thought I was eating right, but lo and behold, here was this diagnosis, and my doctor wanted me to go on medication. And I had some concerns about the side effects, and so she and I struck up a deal that she was gonna, I said I wanted to do some research and really look into things on my own, and she said, okay, you go ahead and do that for a year, and then we'll see how things go. And after a year of this deep dive into different kinds of exercises, I changed my diet big time. I'm not exactly a vegetarian, but if you looked at what I eat over the course of any given week, mostly what I eat is from the plant world. Mm-hmm. So I was consuming a ton of dairy, thinking that that was strengthening my bones. I just bought right into the whole milk mustache thing, and I think that was a real problem for me. Mm-hmm. So that was a big change. And long story short, after a year, my DEXA scan, which is the test that they use to check your bone density, was the same. Mm-hmm. So we saw that as a victory, because usually the numbers continue to decline.
So go down. Mm-hmm.
And a year after that, I had reversed it.
Wow.
And so friends of mine, patients who I spoke to about what was going on, they said, you need to share this with other people. Mm-hmm. So I started teaching workshops, and from the workshops came the classes, and one thing kind of led to the other, and it's been an amazing journey. The thing that stands out mostly to me is how many people find themselves or have found themselves in the same situation I did, where they really were very hesitant to go on the drugs and wanted to learn about these other things, which we were joking earlier are considered alternative. It's like, when did eating right and exercising, go into the alternative category? But so it's been I feel like I'm on a mission, and it's been very gratifying sharing this with other people.
So in macrobiotics, we talk about the bones a lot, needing so many minerals.
Yes.
And beans and greens especially, daily, really helps to strengthen the bones. But what other things did you find that really brought you around and improved your DEXA scan?
So in terms of the diet? Well, so in terms of the nutrition part of it, I really moved away from an animal protein source of food more into the plant world. And your bones are really a repository for many minerals. It's not just calcium and vitamin D, it's magnesium and phosphorus and so many other nutrients.
Which are in so many plants.
Exactly. So if you have, I talk to people about, have a colorful plate. And you don't have to eat perfect every single day. I mean, I think sometimes women in particular can be really hard on themselves. But over the course of a week, if you're really doing your nuts and seeds, you're doing your best to get as many of those nutrients as you can. I personally don't take any supplements. I try to really get my nutrients from my food as much as I can.
So you turned it around with food, but you also turned it around with exercise.
I did. So as a physical therapist, you would think that I already knew everything there would be to know, but I'm a runner, and so I thought I had my bases covered just with that. It's weight bearing, right? But it's not enough. So some of the research that I found, for example, are exercises to strengthen your back, your backbone, where you really need to be lying face down on the ground and doing particular movements in that position to target that part of yourself. So it's really the targeted exercise, not just a more global, running or doing any one thing. It's really coming at it from many different directions.
And you have, how I heard about you is that you have classes that you offer in these exercise techniques. But I'm just blown away that you did not take any meds.
I did not.
That you changed your diet and you just added exercise, and that improved your bones.
Right, and I was, to the whole picture, I was also deficient. I was found to be deficient slightly in vitamin D, so I began supplementing with that, and that continues to be something I do. It's the only supplement that I take.
That you take.
So,
but that's really amazing, because I think many of our viewers out there feel that, if they have been diagnosed with osteopenia or osteoporosis, that it's almost like a death sentence, and you have to go on a whole litany of medications and, be prepared to break your bones easily, and you can't really reverse it. So this is...
Well, and there are still patients that I work with who have told me that their physicians have told them that it's not possible to do that, but then here I am, and there are a few other people in class who have had the same result. So, but I always want to make it clear to everybody that it's not like, well, if you do exactly what Joanne did, you're going to have the exact same result, because we're all different and we all have our own, makeup and chemistry and so on and so forth. So, but generally speaking, it's indisputable that exercise will strengthen your skeleton. And so there's a lot of research. I have so many pages now. It's my little booklet called My Supporting Evidence. So if any physician wanted to, it's like, well, show me some of those research articles. And I've had a couple who have asked, not too many, but I'm always very excited to do that, because it's like, here it is. It's all right here in peer-reviewed journals, and there's one researcher in particular from the Mayo Clinic who has done a ton of work looking at not only the fact that exercise strengthens your bones, but which ones in particular, and then those exercises became some of the foundational exercises in my classes.
Oh, that's so wonderful.
And they were things that I was never doing, that I actually found really hard to do. So I would be
So you found hard to do personally?
Personally, I'd be like lying on the floor trying to do this thing, and I'd be like, wait, who can do this? So anyway, I can do it now, and I've been very consistent about keeping up with it.
With the routine?
Yeah, actually I feel stronger now than I did.
How long is your routine every day?
Well, I don't do them every day, but I would say every other day. It takes me about half an hour.
Oh, that's all?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and the classes that I teach are an hour. We begin in standing, we wind up on the floor, and then we spend 10 minutes at the end stretching.
Oh, okay. So other exercises like yoga or kickboxing or any of that, do you find some of those same positions in, or is it a whole different routine?
So I'm really glad you asked about yoga, because that's one question that comes up an awful lot. That's something that it's very popular and it's wonderful, but what you need to know as a consumer of exercise is that not all exercise is created equal when it comes to strengthening your bones. So there are particular movements that we might, talk about later, or I can show you, that would be really contraindicated in terms of strengthening your bones. So a lot of things that involve like forward bending would be something to stay away from if someone knew they had osteoporosis in their spine.
Oh, okay. So,
So-
it's actually going the opposite way, is what you're saying. It's weakening those
It's not
areas.
weakening, it's putting the person at a potential risk for actually fracturing.
Breaking something.
Yeah, and
Okay.
the little breaks you get in your spine are called compression fractures. So a scary, I'm usually a good news person, but a scary piece of information that that is evidence-based also is the risk of that forward bending causing a compression fracture, but then also 2/3 of the time people don't know that they have a compression fracture, that they don't always feel pain. Like if you broke your wrist, it's painful. If you get these little cracks in your spine, it's not always painful, which is one of the many things I read. It's like, wait a minute, what? Like, did I read that right? And so it's yeah. So
So
you
you
really
could be
need
walking
to,
around with compression fractures in some of your areas of your body and not really realize it.
it would always be in your spine that
Spine.
you'd get a compression fracture. And what you'd find though is that you're getting a lot shorter. That's a clue.
I remember my mom getting a little shorter at
Yes,
85.
my mother got a
wondering
lot shorter.
Sort of why.
Yeah.
Well, when we come back from break, Joanne, we're going to talk a little bit more about what you offer, but we're also going to show some photos of your classes.
Great.
And hear more about, osteoporosis and how we can work to improve our bones.
Terrific.
I work 13 hours a day, 6 days a week. So when I'm off the clock, I gotta get stuff done. So when I need a snack, I need something healthy, tasty, and easy to eat. Like wonderful pistachios without the shells. They're protein-powered, delicious, and great on the go. And that's perfect for me. Thanks, Liz. A woman without a lot of time.
Whether you're a gourmet cook or just want to eat like one, visit Rostelli Market Fresh, your home for the freshest, locally sourced ingredients to please everyone who loves great food. Our organic meats, quality seafood, and free-range poultry are cut fresh to order. Chefs create culinary-inspired prep foods made fresh every day, which pair nicely with our vast selection of fine wines and spirits. Choose from handmade pastas, artisan cheeses, organic produce, and grocery items, all from the finest purveyors. Rostelli Market Fresh, from our family to yours.
RVN TV is a platform for people of any industry to share their story. Over 285,000 viewers are tuning in to RVN TV shows monthly. We guarantee a great experience that you'll be sharing with everyone you know while increasing your personal and company's brand awareness. But what is your brand? According to Forbes, it's a combination of your logo, your product, your design and feel, and your personality. Did you know that aside from being a guest, we offer even more opportunity to boost your brand? Adding your company logo and website on screen during your interview will allow viewers to recognize your brand instantly. Incorporating images and video clips is another great way to showcase your product during your live segment. Let viewers see how good you really are. And most importantly, there's you and your interview. For less than the cost of a newspaper, direct mail, or a magazine ad, you can leave our studio and within 48 hours have a permanent digital copy of your live segment to link to your social media, embed into your company website, or use in email marketing. Investing in your brand is so very important, and we can't wait to have you as a guest.
Hi, we're back with Joanne Fagerstrom, and we're talking about some of her great programs for osteoporosis and osteopenia. And we have some photos to show you of her work. It's just amazing to me that you can reverse osteoporosis. I mean,
Yeah.
it's blowing my mind. So this is one of your classes?
Yeah, so these photos were taken in my studio. This is a segment where people are lying down on their backs and they're holding dumbbells. I have a variety of, amounts anywhere from 1 pound to 8 pounds. And we do different movements to target the areas we were talking about earlier, which are predominantly the core, back strengthening, as well as strengthening the hips. So those are some of the key areas people are concerned about who have, bone health concerns.
So they bring their own mats?
Yes.
And then, okay. And
I have mats to share, but a lot of people bring their own mats. So here's the standing portion. We try to combine standing exercises to strengthen with balance. So here you can see I'm standing on one leg and we're doing something else as we're standing on one leg typically, whether it's using dumbbells or moving the legs in certain ways. So this one, the arms are coming up away from the floor. I've got my hand right between her shoulder blades. So that's the targeted area that we're working on with this particular exercise. As the arms come away, that part of the spine is being pulled on by the muscles, and that's exactly the way exercise works. The muscles pull on the bone, and the bone gets stronger as a result.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's how you strengthen the bones.
That's how you strengthen the bones. So what's good for the muscles is good for the bones.
Oh,
Yeah.
I see.
And I have a skeleton. We call him Stan. That was his name on the box. And I use him frequently for just for people to get a sense of, what's happening in their own body. And this is the way we all look inside. And so you get that sense of, what we're trying to do with a particular exercise.
Yeah, and I find it so fascinating that, so many women, they read articles on osteoporosis or osteopenia, and they get their DEXA scan, and then they just take the medication and they feel like it's not reversible and there's nothing really they can do. And maybe they'll bring some weights and lift some weights, but I don't think they really understand how to target the specific muscles and bones.
Well, and just a couple of things there that I never want anybody to, well, first of all, I'm not licensed to advise anybody about medication, but the main thing is that I would never judge anybody who wanted to go or felt like that really was their best avenue. Mm-hmm. What my concern is that, as it was for me, it's the first thing. It's out came the prescription pad. It's like, well, wait a second, how about some of these other things that maybe could work? And luckily for me, I had a physician who was, really very open and willing for us to work together collaboratively, whereas I have heard, and I think this is rare, but I have heard stories where people are teary, and I have to get my tissues out because they're saying, well, my doctor told me that if I don't go on this medication, he said, don't come back to me when you break your hip because you're going to. And that's really awful for anybody to say something like that.
It's very fear-based.
It's very fear-based. But what there was, I forget the...
So we were talking about, the fact that you can turn this around.
Yes.
And that, I know bones are made from your blood. So you regenerate through good nutrition, but also, like you said, moving the muscles.
Right. So for example, astronauts, you lose a certain percentage of bone density for every month that they're in space because it's weightless. It's a weightless environment.
Wow.
So that circles back to the whole that it needs to be weight bearing, whether you're standing and doing a weight bearing activity or using the dumbbells. So another example of what we were talking about in the previous segment about the targeted exercise, if I was holding a dumbbell and I'm doing bicep curls, there's nothing wrong with that exercise, but the only bone that's going to get stronger is the bone my biceps attaches to, which is this arm bone. So if I want to strengthen my hips, I have to move muscles that attach there. If I want to strengthen my spine, I have to work those muscles. And that's why in class we wind up lying face down and doing some of those face down exercises.
And you said the spine strengthening exercises are so important.
They're really important. I think that was one of the big missing links for me. And in my DEXA scan, that spine, those numbers of my spine were worse than the ones in my hips, probably because of the running I was doing. So the impact into my hip bones was much greater than the impact into my backbone. So, but the one takeaway message that I always, whether it's in my workshops or when I'm working with people individually, because we need to know for ourselves, that being an educated consumer, the movements you want to avoid are movements where you round yourself forward. So no more sit-ups, toe touches. We were talking during the break, Sheri and I, about a yoga move called plow, where you have your legs up in the air and then they go back over your head, and that is really a very unsafe. I would just say never do that one again. So, because the DEXA scan is going to give you numbers of your lumbar spine, which is the low back. It's not giving you any information about higher points along your spine. So we just have to assume that what you might see in your low back is also indicative of what you might find in other vertebrae of your spine.
Have you had students in your class that have improved
Oh,
through their
yes.
reports and stuff?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. Whether it's an improvement or kind of stabilizing numbers, which, as I said before, is really seen as a win. But what's really wonderful is that everybody feels stronger.
Oh.
And when you feel stronger, you have more confidence. One thing that happens, interestingly and kind of sadly, is you get this osteoporosis diagnosis, and then you're afraid to move because you think you're going to break a bone. And what you need, it's like, no, don't do, you need to move. Movement is one of the most important things your bones need.
Well, I know in hospitals, they get you out of bed immediately
Absolutely.
after surgery. They say
Right.
2 or 3 days in bed and your muscles just
you start
atrophy.
that's right. You
Yeah.
start losing muscle tone and strength, and again, muscles and bones, there's a sisterhood or brotherhood, because men, you're not off the hook in terms of osteoporosis. You know, it's a myth
More
that it's
prevalent.
only little old white ladies. So, every race, different ages. I years ago worked with a young woman in her early 40s who had osteoporosis because she was on long-term steroids for asthma as a much younger person, and steroids can be very destructive to
To the
our
bones.
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
and
yeah.
you know how important it is to have greens in your diet, beans,
Absolutely.
plant-based foods. 'cause
Kale
there's-
is-
sea vegetables.
Yeah, yeah. No, dark green leafy leafy vegetables. Almost all of them are just wonderful. Kale, collard
Collards.
greens, yeah, Swiss chard, absolutely. So I shop at a local food co-op and Weaver's Way, and they have fabulous produce, and so that's kind of my source for. Even think like mushrooms, they have some D in them. It's hard to get D from your foods.
Yeah, dried shiitake mushrooms are very high in D. But yeah, just getting outside as much as possible,
outside.
especially on sunny days,
Yeah.
even if it's cold out. And exposing your skin to the sun is really important.
Yeah.
So how often are your classes and where are they given?
So I teach currently 7 classes a week. It's all on my website. They're in Windmore, not Wynwood, Windmore, which is just outside the Chestnut Hill section of Philadelphia. It's in Montgomery County. There's free parking. It took me a long time to find this studio, so no stairs to enter, lots of free parking. That's really hard to find, and then this big open space. So, yeah.
How long do the classes run?
Each class is an hour.
Okay.
Yeah,
And-
and when people were currently on break, we're starting up again next week, the week of the 6th, and I just always ask people to contact me first because I don't want people just walking in off the street who I don't know who they are, just so I can kind of get a sense of where somebody is as they begin. And there are 2 levels: level 1, level 2, where level 1 is a little bit slower. We don't include all the same exercises as we do in level 2, but over the years, they've really, the lines between the two levels have blurred a bit. So what's happening is that people are coming to the time and day that works for their schedule.
And
I'm
are
pretty
these in the
easygoing.
evening or day or
They're both.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you can come at
Yeah.
either time.
Yes. And you don't have to commit to a particular day or time. So you have a year to use up the whatever you've paid for. So I try to make it as easy as possible for people to
take
user
the
friendly.
series.
Yes.
To take the series.
Yeah.
Okay. So how can they reach you again? Before we end the show, I want to know how people can reach you and sign up for these classes.
Okay.
And
So my website is www.ourstrongbones.com. And you can contact me right through the website. You could the mindful physical therapy that's there on the screen. You could contact me through my name. So it's worked out because I've been around for a while. So if you Google my name, you'll wind up on my website.
yeah, I just have a feeling you're going to become a celebrity doing this. So many women really want
Yeah.
need this, and they want to learn it, especially right now because
Yeah.
there's been so much diagnosis.
Well, and everything that I've done so far with this work has been because people have asked me to do it, and it's just been amazing. Just like coming to you. I mean, you asked me to come, and it's like the floodgates opened up where I just feel like I'm really on the path I'm supposed to be on.
Yeah, so
But-
much needed.
Yeah,
For
but I have a
people
video, which I was asked to do, and now I'm working on my second edition. But that's a possibility as well,
Great.
because not everybody can travel to the class.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
they can access the video off your website.
Yes.
Well, thank you, Joanne, so
You're
much for
welcome.
coming.
Thank you for
I want to take
having
one of
me.
your
This
classes.
was
come
great.
in to work out.
I hope you do.
And I hope all of you that are watching this really start to explore a little bit if you've been diagnosed with osteopenia or osteoporosis.
Thank you.